Welcome back! When most people hear the words nature photography, their mind jumps straight to landscapes. And don't get me wrong here, landscape shots are incredible, but sometimes the real magic doesn't happen when you look at the big picture. It happens when you get closer. Basically, detail photography is about uncovering the small things most people just miss. The texture of a leaf, the reflection inside a raindrop, or the symmetry of a flower. Especially when you train your eyes to see those details, you unlock a whole new world. And the photos you take become little windows into that hidden world. Shots that make people stop and say, wow, I never noticed that before. And exactly that's why I prefer to take detail photos, because you can always go back to certain spots and you will always find new photos you can capture. And in this video I'm going to share a couple of tips and tricks that will help you to take better nature detail photos. And I'm not just going to list them, I will explain why they matter, how to apply them, and I will even share some real experiences from my own photography journey so you can see exactly how these tips play out in practice. So let's get started. And let's start with the most underrated skill in photography, slowing down. We live in such a fast-paced world that it feels almost unnatural to take things slow. You walk through a forest and your brain is just scanning everything. And that's the point, you're labeling objects, not seeing them. But if you want to capture detail photos, you have to switch things up. You can't see small details if you're just rushing. You have to pause, kneel down and check the ground sometimes. And of course, at first glance, a lot of things are just ordinary. Grass, some wild flowers, nothing too exciting. But when you actually slow down and get close, you can notice some water drops between these grass blades. From a distance they're invisible, but up close it just looks like strings of pearls. And exactly that discovery only happened because I stopped walking and looked. So the next time when you're outdoors, challenge yourself to stop walking for just a couple of minutes. And don't take a single photo, just look around. Look at the ground, look at the leaves, look at the texture of the rocks. You will be amazed how many potential subjects suddenly appear when you actually take time to observe. So yeah, slowing down isn't just about photography, it's a mindset shift. It's about learning how to appreciate what's already there, hidden in plain sight. The next tip changed my detail photography completely, because a lot of people shoot detail from too far away. They spot a flower, raise the camera, maybe zoom in and click done. But here's the problem, zooming in doesn't change your perspective, moving your feet does. Because when you physically step closer, you avoid the clutter and the subject starts to fill the shot, making the detail itself the hero of your photo. And yes, this is where macro lenses really shine, because they allow you to focus at very close distances. But even without special gear, just moving your body closer to the subject will instantly improve your detail photos. But let's quickly talk about sharpness. When you're shooting detail, it's super common to get blurry shots. And yes, the autofocus often struggles in these situations. It might lock onto a wrong part, like a leaf beyond your subject or even empty space. And exactly that's why manual focus is your best friend in detail photography. And to be honest here, in most cases I use the autofocus, because yeah, in a lot of situations it is faster and easier. But once I tried it on a super small subject or whenever I want to set up a specific shot, the difference was night and day. Manual focus gives you the control. And yes, of course it is slower, but detail photography isn't about speed, it's about intention. And nothing feels better than looking at your photo later on and seeing that the sharpness landed exactly where you wanted it. And now let's address one of the biggest enemies of detail photography. Camera shake. Here's the thing, when you're zoomed in or shooting macro, even the tiniest vibration can turn your shot into a blurry one. What seems like steady hands to you shows up as blur in your photo. And the best solution is of course use a tripod. Especially if you have a certain plan for your photo, it is super effective. A tripod locks your camera in place so you can slow down, compose carefully and adjust focus without worrying about movement. But let's say you don't have a tripod with you. In this case, improvise. Rest your camera on a rock, balance it on your backpack or use your knees and elbows as a support. Anything that reduces shake will improve sharpness. Stability is everything when working with details, so always try to make it as easy as possible for you to capture these shots. But of course, a great detail shot isn't just about the subject, it's about what surrounds it. And the background can make or break your photo. Sure, you can always fill the frame, but sometimes I really like to include a couple of things around my key element to let it shine. Imagine photographing a flower. It's beautiful, but behind it there's a messy background. And the result is your subject gets lost. Now imagine the same flower, but this time you angle your camera so the background supports it. Suddenly the flower pops, it feels isolated, clean and intentional. One simple solution is of course to use a wide aperture like f2.8 or f4 to blur the background. But aperture alone isn't the whole story. Distance matters too. Basically, the farther your subject is from the background, the blurrier the background will look. So sometimes it is as simple as changing your angle. Always ask yourself, does the background support my subject? If it distracts, try a new composition until you're happy with the result. But what's about light? Light is everything in photography, but especially critical in detail shots. Because the wrong light can flatten textures and wash out colors. And exactly that's why soft diffused light is often the best. That's why cloudy days are always great. The clouds act like a giant softbox, spraying the light evenly and reducing harsh shadows. Side lighting is another game changer. When light hits your subject from the side, it creates shadows that emphasize texture. Suddenly the flat surface comes alive. And then there's of course backlighting. Shoot a leaf with the sun behind it and it glows. Backlighting also works wonders on fine details like spider webs. On top, if you want more control, you can also carry a small light like this one here. Bounce light onto your subject to reduce shadows or highlight a specific area. It's a small trick, but it gives you creative power over the light. Another tip that I want to mention is all about the depth of field. The depth of field is one of your most powerful creative tools. It controls what's sharp and what's blurred, and that choice completely changes the mood of your photo. With aperture settings like f2.8 you can isolate one tiny detail. Maybe it's a single drop on a leaf, sharp as a crystal while everything else melts into blur. But with settings like f8 or f11 you can keep more of the subject sharp, and that's great for textures. So don't just take one shot and move on. Actually, experiment. Try different apertures, compare results, and decide which version tells the story you want. So the depth of field isn't just technical, it's a creative tool that you can use to take better photos. And next up, let's talk about composition. And in detail photography, simplicity is power. Unlike landscapes where you can pack in multiple elements, detail shots are about highlighting specific things. That means reducing distractions. So get closer, get tighter, use negative space. These are your best friends. Think about the rule of thirds. It's always a great starting point. Place your detail slightly off center for balance, but don't be afraid to break the rule. You can always place your subject dead center to create a bold, striking image. One of my favorite tricks is to look for repeating patterns. By composing around these patterns you create photos that stand out. And always ask yourself when someone looks at this photo, do their eyes go exactly where I want them to? If not, simplify further. And the next tip might be the hardest, but it's also the most rewarding. Nature detail photography often requires patience. I mean, you can't control the wind, the insect or the light, but you can wait. For example, I once spent 45 minutes waiting for the wind to calm so I could capture a sharp shot of a flower. Another time I tried to get a great shot of a bee, and I took a lot of photos just to get the results that I needed. So yeah, patience is actually key, because the best detail photos often happen in those fleeting moments when everything aligns. The subject, the light, the background, and you can only catch those moments if you're willing to wait. So basically, detail photography isn't just a genre, it's a way of seeing. It's about slowing down, paying attention, and discovering beauty in places most people overlook. The next time when you're outdoors, don't just take in the big picture. Look closer. Notice the small things, because sometimes the smallest details create the most unforgettable photos. So, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're new, don't forget to smash that subscribe button to stay updated for upcoming videos, and I'll see you in the next video.